I'm Theresa Khalil, a writer and documentary filmmaker, and I was born and raised in the Arabic world. I spent most of my life between Saudi Arabia and Egypt. And in this video, I want to share my story with Salman Rushdie. So I would like from this video, as someone who lived in the Arabic world and now I live in Europe, I'm married to European, I imagine that I can see the big picture and I would like to share my unique view about Salman Rushdie, the attack, how is religion in the Arabic world and why it seems so strict and extreme. I was about 15-16 years old when I heard about satanic verses and Salman Rushdie. My father was talking about it and he was whispering. He said, satanic verses. At the time, I didn't care about what's going on with Salman Rushdie because we already had terrorist attacks and explosions in Egypt. So we had writers being murdered or attacked. For example, we had Farag Fouda was killed. We have Naguib Mahfouz, the only Egyptian writer who won the Nobel Prize, and he was attacked in the neck. He was at that time in his 80s, he was very old, and the accident affected his arm. He couldn't write, but he survived. And he had someone to help him in writing. And the reason why he was attacked is because he also wrote a novel, and this novel was called Wilat Haritna. I tried to read it. It was too boring for me as well. It was so boring, but it was about like a leader of a neighborhood, and then he had some people in this neighborhood, and it was like they thought that he's referring with this leader to God and with those people to the prophets, and they saw this as insulting, and that's how the attack happened. When the time of the attacks in Egypt was happening and terrorist attacks everywhere, one of the bus stops was exploded as well. I used to go to the Arabic Music Institute. I was learning piano, and one of the bus stops I used to pass by was exploded, so it was so scary. But Mubarak at that time, the president of Egypt, he was able to control this by major security measures, and it was good. It was controlled, but it didn't solve the problem because the mentality didn't change. When I first came to Europe, I noticed the difference between religion in the East or in the Arabic world and religion in the West. For example, I was surprised that in Europe you can find a Christian, and I'm in a very religious country, a Catholic Christian, Croatia, and people can have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, have sex outside of marriage, and if the woman got pregnant and they decided to get married, they can go to the church and ask the priest to perform the ceremony, and the priest doesn't mind. He can do this with a smile on his face. He can even baptize their children. If I try to imagine this happening in the Arabic world, it will be difficult because sex before marriage is a huge sin till now, and this applies not only for Muslims but even the minority of religions such as Christians or whoever. It's some kind of tradition. It's strict. Everything is strict in the Arabic world. So if a woman went with her boyfriend, which is so difficult to imagine, went to a priest in Egypt asking for getting married, probably she could lose her life, or at least she will be like treated in a horrific way, and this child will be the child of sin, and it's just it is totally different than Europe. When I was in Saudi Arabia, I was about 10 years old, and in one of the classes, after the class was finished, I like to go to the blackboard and draw something. Like I'm not talented in drawing, so I was just drawing this stick man with the head and lines for the legs, lines for the arms. And then one of my colleagues, she came with a chalk, another chalk, and she just put a line on his neck. I thought she's just trying to provoke me and tease me, and I was like, what have you done? She tried to explain to me how that by me trying to draw, I'm comparing myself to God, and I'm telling God that I can also create human beings. And all my trials to explain to her that I didn't mean to compare myself to God, and I can't create human beings. But it continued till the end of the year. Every time I tried to draw a man or whatever, she come with the chalk and put a line on his head saying, Theresa, don't upset God. So yes, people in the Arabic world are very strict about religion. It's different from one religion to another. Maybe the Islamic religion stands out because there is a lot of instructions and rules about everything in your daily life, like what to eat, what to drink, what not to drink, how to dress, how to behave. So there is like a guide or a manual for every detail of your life. Of course, I know a lot of Arabs who are very kind, very sweet, very generous. They can serve you beyond imagination, but once you disagree with them about something in religion, you can see a different face. They can swear you, they can beat you if they can wish you dead, it's just religion has a very high rank. So faith for Arabs is untouchable and can't be compromised. I didn't read the satanic verses for a long time, and then I found it in Arabic. I couldn't believe it because I know that everyone who was involved in the publishing of the novel was killed or attacked somehow. So I don't know how it was available in Arabic, but I couldn't understand it. It was so difficult, I couldn't even continue reading it. It's too complicated, a lot of fantasy things and different worlds, and so I gave up. Recently, after the attack, I started again trying to see what was the problem of this novel, because I imagined from the title, Satanic Verses, that he's saying that Quran is satanic, but actually this is not true. So Salman Rushdie is coming from a Muslim background. He's Indian Muslim, and that was his the beginning of his life. So he's so immersed in the history of Islam, the Islamic characters, and it's affecting the way he writes. I watched a lot of videos where they read chapters of the book and explain it. There were some issues. One of them is that he portrayed Khomeini himself in the novel, and not in a very nice way, and that's why Khomeini issued the fatwa. And also he imagined like different scenarios about Prophet Muhammad and his wives, and for anyone who's so religious, this is, as they say usually in the Arabic world, this must be the end of the days. So yeah, Khomeini issued the fatwa to kill Salman Rushdie. That's not the only fatwa, because people, maybe in the West, you don't understand how is fatwa in the Arabic world. There is a hotline for fatwa, millions of fatwas, maybe every month. You can also consult online. People ask about everything in their daily life. They could ask about, I'm working in tourism, and in tourism there is alcohol. I don't drink alcohol, but it's forbidden by Quran. So should I work in tourism or not? You need a fatwa for that. If someone, his child is sick and he needs a transplant, organ transplant, and they don't know if this is allowed by religion or not, so they called the fatwa to know, is it allowed or not? And yes, you could leave your child to die if it is not allowed by religion that you can do the operation. Religion is extremely important in the Arabic world. It is the world of the human being. It is the ground you are standing on. It explains to you this world, why you are here, who are you, what will happen to you after you die. And those are the questions I'm going to explore in my next documentary series, The Scrapbook of Life, through different religions and beliefs. Here I see the church is full on Sunday, but I don't see any effect of this on daily activities, like should I work this, should I eat this, should I... No. I met Arabs who are third generation, so their grandfather immigrated or applied as a refugee in the West, and then they had the father and the grandson, and the third generation is speaking Arabic so fluently. They are so much connected to everything that is happening in the Arabic world, especially in Egypt, because Egypt for the Arab world is like America for the rest of the world, because Egypt is the Hollywood of the East, as they call it. And I was surprised how that they are following the news and everything happening, and you don't see them connected as much to the countries that they are living in. So they are living physically in Europe, but with their minds they are in the Arabic world. That's how you are having pieces of the Arabic world in the West. This is not just happening for the Arabs, it's also, I saw this with the Chinese, with the Africans. People just come and just stay in their bubble. They don't mix with the Western society, and it is even more difficult when you think that the Western society is sinful. So you escaped from your country and you are coming to a place that you want to change it to your homeland. I see now in Europe there is like debates between freedom of speech and discrimination or phobia. Am I allowed to say whatever I want even if it offended an idea or an ideology or not? And I see there is a debate, like they're still thinking about it. What is the limit of freedom of speech? But this debate was not there before the waves of immigrations that happened from the Arabic world to the West. So what does Arabs think about attacking Salman Rushdie? Where they think that is wrong. It is wrong to attack him, but they also think that he deserves it. In my opinion, I can't imagine that a book or a drawing or any kind of self-expression deserves to be punished by death, especially when you are not insulting the person himself, but you are talking about ideas that belongs to the humanity. So tell me, if you are watching this video, what do you think of the religious model of the West and the religious model of the East or the Arabic world? Do you think that there is a possibility they will meet at some point? If you are interested in my view of how I see the West or the Western world and the Arabic world, you can subscribe to this channel. I also share everything that is unique, alternative, out of the box, because that's how progress happens. And also I'm preparing for my coming documentary, as I said, and it will be on this channel. So see you in a coming video.